Yeah. Fly was flying on the team. Touchdown, touchdown. Time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a Bird Gang Nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here calling with Philly the podcast. And we can call a man dog or watch Miles score off the handoff. Rest of the division, your man soft. Jackson like Sean, hunting like Randall. Season head, early time to do them in. Your boy Philly Fresco. Thanks for tuning in.
What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, and it is Philly the podcast. So today, as you can see, we have a very special guest. We got the man himself. You may have seen him in blockbuster hits such as Training Day, such as maybe you've probably seen him in a lot of different movies. I can't even think of Denzel Washington video movies right now. I don't know why, but we got my man Philly 500, aka Denzel. What's going on, Philly 500?
What's happening, man? I'm good. I was just at the store and some lady came and asked me for my autograph. I told her, I'm not Denzel Washington, and she thought I was, and she thought I just didn't want to sign her piece of paper. These people are crazy, but I'm doing great, my man. How are you?
I can't complain, man. It's always a pleasure and an honor to have you on the channel, man. You've become one of my very good friends, through this whole YouTube stuff. So I'm excited to break this down, man. A lot of things are not happening, right? It's a very boring a training camp, a very boring OTA, a lot of not even hour practices, if we're being honest. But there are some things to mull over, so we'll mull over it. Shout out to everybody already in the chat. We're gonna talk. So if they got any questions, we'll ask them. Or we'll answer them and all that. But the first thing I want to talk to you about Philly 500 is basically going into this OTAs, right? We have all these players, we have all these new guys, new faces to play with. What are you looking forward to the most? What battles, what, player just in general are you looking forward to seeing throughout these camps and throughout this off season?
Wow, that's a great question. I mean, there's so many different things that I'm really curious about, right? I think the hardest thing is going to be to see, especially in training camp, even preseason, is to gauge how much Jalen Hurts has improved. We're going to hear about the throwing motion. We're going to hear about mechanics. It's going to sound great, but we don't really know until week one. And I don't know how much he'll play. But if you look at some of the other positions, like I am really curious to see this linebacker battle with Nakobe Dean. Like, can Nakobe Dean beat out TJ Ward and start as a rookie? I think that's a fascinating battle. I think I think the wide receiver position, in terms of when it gets to Pascal and it gets to Rager, like, are the Eagles really willing to go into training camp with Rager as, let's say, the fifth wide receiver, paying him that kind of money? So those positions. I think the defensive line, some of these young guys like Jordan Davis. I mean, Jordan Davis looks to me, from what I've seen at OTAs, he looks like he's already thinned out quite a lot. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, there's a lot of different battles. I guess maybe not in terms of starting positions, but in terms of like depth and rookies and kind of what they're going to do. It's going to be fascinating.
Yeah, I think this is like one of the first years. I mean, it's probably happened with other teams, but one of the first years as an Eagles fan, I can really look at our rookie class and say, I'm not really concerned. Like, I don't want to say I'm not concerned. Obviously, I want to see them go out there and make plays and do things and be great for us and everything. But this year, we're not really relying on them. I think we have a very solid team when you look at the moves that Howie was able to make throughout this offseason. This was a fun offseason. This was, I've only had the show for like 2-3 years at that. So like, this was probably the best offseason I've had as a content creator. So it was pretty good.
Yeah, I started in 2016, so Carson's rookie year. This by far has been the best off season. Even going in 2017, when you look at 2017, nobody thought that they were a Super Bowl contender. We were talking about, can they win the division? Listen, they might be able to compete for the division. That's where we were all at. This year, I've never seen hype since I've been on YouTube. I think this is the best off season since 2004. And I truly mean that, man. Like it's been that good.
Yeah, this is, and I'm glad that you bring up 2017. I'm glad that you bring up best since. I'm glad you're bringing up all these words because I want to ask you this because I just made a video earlier. I was telling you I was making this video earlier, and I basically said it, and I truly do feel like that. This is the best wide receiver pickup that the Philadelphia Eagles have made probably since Terrell Owens. I think
Yeah,
that that's easy to say. I think that's fair. I think that's easy to say. I
yeah,
really like. Can you think of another time that the Philadelphia Eagles can go into a season saying we got the marquee guy at that position? I mean, that's something exciting to say. This is
yeah.
I wanted to ask you this. I kind of wanted to. I bring that up to say this. What do you expect from this wide receiving core? Like, what? How big of a impact do you think they're going to make? Will we completely be a different looking team because of this, trio, or do you think it's like it's just nice to kind of add to what we're doing already?
Yeah, I feel like if you went out there, and this is just my opinion, and you ran the ball 65 or 70% of the time, right? Let's say you were a heavy run team like we were last year. I kind of feel like you're wasting having two guys of that caliber out there. So
Yeah,
I expect the offense to change. I think it will change. I think we'll still run a lot. I don't think that'll change, but I think we'll throw more or very close. And I do think AJ Brown is probably the best receiver pickup since Terrell Owens. And what's interesting is if you remember the Terrell Owens when we got him in the trade, he was already traded to Baltimore. He
yeah,
refused to go and fought it. Uh, Going into this all season, nobody expected AJ Brown to be traded. You know, there were some rumors that DK was getting shopped, and then Debo, and then AJ Brown. So it kind of came out of left field. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. I think that when you look at this season, you look at this off season, like you said, it's all hype. Right? We're excited to see this. We're excited to see what this can become. It
Right,
comes down to Jalen Hurts and what he can do. What my biggest fear of this year, because last year my biggest fear was we go throughout the season and don't realize anything. Right, like we
right,
don't learn anything about this team. I think I said that to you, and that was my biggest fear of last year. This year, I'm afraid that we waste this team because we want to be something like I'm afraid that we're going to go into this year and say we still have to evaluate Jalen Hurts. While that's true, I don't think that that should be the main thing. I think that you should be able to evaluate him through a winning offense, whether that be he has to throw the ball 30 times, whether that means he has to throw the ball 20 times. Like, I get a little bit nervous that they're going to push the fact that they want to see Jalen Hurts be a passer, and I feel like that's not really fair to him, and that's not fair to us as fans because I just want to see win. Like, I know that it's still early in the process. We're still a building team, but is it unfair to say put winning over the evaluation of Jalen Hurts? I know that decision has to come up quick. We would have to figure out if
mhm,
he's that guy this year, probably
right.
walking into money next year. But like, I know it's hard. I don't know. Maybe it's the fan in me, but like, is it unfair to say put winning in front of Jalen Hurts evaluation and we kind of go
Yeah,
back and decide what we can?
I think it goes hand in hand. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, what are we talking about? We're talking about a quarterback. If a quarterback can win a Super Bowl with the team around him, is he capable of being that kind of guy? He doesn't have to be Peyton Manning. He doesn't have to be Tom Brady. He doesn't have to be any of those guys. But can he be a good enough quarterback that maybe not perfect, maybe not he's going to be the guy that carries the team or throws 45 touchdowns, but can he be good enough that if you build around him, he can win? And to me, if you think that he can, and he goes out there and let's say he gets to the NFC Championship game, I think I think you got yourself a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? I That's how I see it. You know?
Yeah. And I think that's a big statement to make, and I think one that people need to understand fully because you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, right? You look at a Donovan McNabb. Donovan McNabb was not out there leading the offense like a Peyton Manning was as a passer, right? He
Right.
made a lot of great plays, had a great arm. I don't want to sit here and say that he didn't, possess a great arm for the
Yeah.
time, especially. He was a great passer, but
Right.
he brought something a little bit different. Jalen Hurts, I feel like, especially knowing that he may not be an elite passer in a passing league, you may be able
Right.
to get him even cheaper than most quarterbacks, right? Yeah, most
Right.
quarterbacks that get that 35 to 40 minutes. So it really depends on how it all works out because he can, like you said, you can build a great team around him and all that jazz. So that actually even comes into this question, which was a good question, saying, do you think we're in a Dallas situation, great team, two number one running back, blah, blah, blah. More. I wanted to come up with this part where he says, I think Hurts is Dak barely above average. I think he's trying to say that they're both above average. I want to know how far, because I know it's kind of I think people are kind of trolling on Twitter about it, like, saying that Jalen Hurts is better than Dak. And I'm one of those people.
Right.
But realistically, they're one play, they're one playoff game away from each other as far as
Right.
statistics go.
Right.
Dallas loves to pout about their championships, but when you talk about, playoff stats, it's not the same.
Right.
Do
I
you
listen.
feel like
Oh,
it's
go
the
ahead. I'm
same
sorry.
situation? I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, 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 no. I cut you off. No, I think it is and it isn't. Like, I mean, Dak. I think if we're gonna be honest about the abilities that they have, Dak has a bigger arm, right? I think Dak has he can throw the ball better. He has a bigger arm, right? But Dak also hasn't won but one playoff game. He hasn't
Yeah.
won the big game. He's choked in two home playoff games. Like I said, you don't have to have the best arm. You don't have to be Peyton Manning. You don't have to be Tom Brady. You don't have to be Drew Brees. But if you could be a guy that could go out and win Super Bowls and win games, uh, I mean, look at early Russell Wilson won a Super Bowl, right? And before he was Russell Wilson and he was just a second-year player, a good quarterback, a good young quarterback. People didn't know how good he was going to be. He went and won a Super Bowl, and it wasn't all him; it was the team. But I think if you can win around, if he can win you games when the time comes, and I don't mean like throw 4 or 5 touchdowns, but let's say you're down 3 or you're down 4 with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter in the playoffs. Is Jalen Hurts built the way you need a guy to be built to not succumb to pressure, not to try to quarterback sneak with no timeouts left and run the clock out?
Yeah.
Can he do that? That
Right.
I think it's possible. You know what I mean? So I think that is Jalen Hurts got an elite arm? No, but is Jalen Hurts a guy that can win Super Bowls for you? Yet to be determined. You know?
Yeah. I think those are all great points. I think it's very true. We don't need him to be that guy. We just, like you said, decision making in those clutch positions, in those clutch
Right.
times. That's what it's all about. And it comes down to our team putting him in those situations. Because I even
Yeah.
said about the defense last year, a lot of the time that they were on the field, it was a lot of their fault. Like they gave up a lot of completions, a lot of first downs, a lot of
Yeah.
third down conversions with just, those little 30 seconds here, 30 seconds there that adds up, and you're out there for 30 minutes, 40 minutes
Right.
by the end of the game. So it's like
Right.
some of it was on Jalen Hurts not being able to, sustain drive. Well, not just Jalen Hurts, but the offense,
Right.
not being able to sustain drives and everything. But it also, and so, with that being said, who's the Jalen Hurts of the defense? Right? Like we always say, like, Jalen Hurts gotta, this is it, make or break, he gotta figure it out. Who's that guy on the defense for you?
Who's a make or break guy on the defense? That's a great question. I'm gonna say Josh Sweat. I'm gonna
Mm.
say Josh Sweat because I think Josh Sweat needs to give you a little more. I mean, he came on at the end of the year. He shows flashes. He had a slow start at the beginning of last year, but I think you need another guy besides Hassan Reddick to get you sacks from the edge. And I think he's going into his 4th year or something like that now. I don't even remember, but I think he needs to go out there and elevate his game somewhat.
I could see that. And I was on live one day and I was like, where was Josh Sweat? Josh Sweat was kind of invisible. He had like 7.5 sacks, and my chat never let
Yeah,
me forget that I said that, it was over here thinking he had like 2 or 3 sacks. So yeah, he played well, but he did get that big contract. So like, and especially like you said, you have all these guys around you. There's so much talent. It
right.
should just elevate your play. I
Yeah.
would tend to agree. I didn't even think of that, to be honest. I would say
Mm.
Javon Hargrave, because I
Yeah.
feel like he had a really good start to his year to his season last year, and then he just kind of disappeared, right? Like he was
Yeah.
going crazy for us, and then just kind of disappeared. And you
Yeah,
look at
and
what we did with a Jordan Davis. You look at the Milton Williams project coming along another year. They really like Taron Jackson. So there's guys you can kind of plug and play there. We've gotten production out of guys like Hassan Ridgeway.
mhm,
There's other guys I'm sure that were, not top tier guys, but they played well for our system. So I think he might be looking at either just going to another team next year as a free agent or having to play for a contract for us this year and not really having because he's only getting older. You know what I'm saying?
right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. No, I
Yes.
think Hargrave is a great name too. He did start off really good. I think he ended up with 9 sacks. But once they kind of started double teaming him and they took that double team away from Cox, he did slow up somewhat, you know? So
Yeah, he had
I
like
agree
6
with you.
sacks in like 3 games or something. It was crazy.
Yep.
He was going crazy and then he just like stopped. I don't know really why. I don't know. Yeah, I'm hoping that it brings it up this year because this year I need to see this defense like top 3 in sacks again. I can't go. Last year was
You
just
and me
rough.
both. Yeah, you and me
Last year
both.
was just rough.
Yeah,
Like,
I
let
agree.
me ask you this: would you rather have a top 10 offense this year or a top 10 defense this year?
Top 10 offense.
You would rather have a top
Top
10
10.
offense?
I mean, I like the idea of a top 10 defense, but I feel like, and I know some people don't agree. I feel like the whole, mantra that defenses win championships. I think it's changed. I think offenses win championships with an opportunistic defense. I just think the way the league is set up, you have to be able to score points. And even if you have a top 10 defense in today's football, you're still going to have to score points because teams are still going to score points on you. So I would say offense.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I love defense. Like I will say that
Me
I'm a
too.
guy that if every game went 13-0 or 3-0, every guy would be cool with that because I like hard hitting games. I like those, just one in the trenches. You getting 4 yards and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like I just like
Yeah.
those tough it out games. But
Yeah.
you look at how the league is, you look at all these penalties that they just make up. It feels like every game they just come up with a different rule book, you know what I'm saying, depending on
Right.
how
Exactly.
teams play. It's ridiculous. But it is. It's offense. You have to be able to go out there and you have to be able to score like that, and it's
Yeah.
unfortunate in my opinion because it kind of takes away skill. Like all these guys are great,
Agree.
right? But like when you can just throw the ball down the field, then you're most likely going to get a flag because that's just how the game works. It's just
Yep.
I don't know. It takes away the actual skill of having to be a coach calling a good play,
Right.
and then the quarterback having to make a good decision. But I mean, I guess that's kind
Yeah.
of a
And not only that, but you can't hit a quarterback like you used to be able to. So you can't impose your will or rattle a guy, right? That
yeah.
kind of takes over the game. You can't enforce your will like you used to be able to. And I think that hurts the game, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and it was cool to see the Eagles be the team to bring back that like punch you in the mouth style. But it is also kind of weird. Like if we become this team, like our franchise record in passing is like just over 4,000 yards. Like that's a
Right.
normal now. That's a norm. That's an average. You
Normal.
know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
especially with the 17
Yeah.
games, it's like 230 a game. And
Right.
it's insane because it's not who we've been historically, but I know that the Eagles front office wants to be a pass heavy offense in the top 10 offense. They'd rather have that top 10 offense. There's a possibility we might be top 10 in both offense and defense. This is a scary team that they've put together.
It could be.
It's
Could.
yeah.
Could.
Like
And you know that
go ahead.
the schedule benefits us too. I mean,
Yeah.
the schedule is not that scary, really. You know.
Yeah. 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 And you look at even the NFC, right? The NFC East, it doesn't feel like you're fighting everybody. Like I feel like the Washington, football team, whatever, whoever the heck they are, this I don't even want to.
Right.
I forget every time I go through all
Who
three
knows?
names every time I talk about
Yeah.
them. But the team out in Washington for now,
Hmm.
and the Giants, like I think the Giants gotten better. I'm not gonna sit here and lie about it. I'm not gonna act like they didn't make good moves. They've gotten better. But I still don't believe in Daniel Jones. I still don't think that they have the pieces of the puzzle to make it to the top of the NFC East. Who
Right.
knows? But I just don't see it. And then Washington, like I said, Carson Wentz, I don't want to say I believe in him, but I can see him playing well. Like he has Washington's not the greatest of offensive lines, but they're not bad. Their offensive line is
Right.
not bad. You know, you're not talking about the Bengals out there. They have a good offensive line. They're just not one of the top 10 probably. But either way, you know, so he's probably going to have a good year. You have two probably of your best offensive weapons as a quarterback. But the Cowboys, I think they're going to regress a lot more than a
Me
lot of
too.
people do. Like I have nothing but respect for some of these Cowboys content creators and everything, but just hearing them talk about their own team, there doesn't seem to be that confidence. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like there doesn't
Right.
seem to be that like arrogance that they usually have. Like I feel like they're
Right.
starting to kind of cave in and understand that they're not doing anything. They've done nothing but lose players. But who are
Yeah.
you afraid of, if anybody, in this NFC East?
I think the team is Washington. I think I got the Eagles at first, Washington second, Dallas third, Giants fourth. Now I agree with you. I think Dallas takes a step back. Right, they're losing Amari Cooper. Gallup's coming back from a torn ACL. I don't know what their offense is going to look like. They've lost some guys off the offensive line. Um, Carson Carson is the great unknown because we can complain about this guy, right? But he went out and threw 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions last year.
Yeah.
He's going to have maybe some of the best weapons he's had. That defensive line, especially, is coming back healthy. Um, I don't think Washington's good enough to beat us, but I think that they would be the closest team. And I am so interested in seeing Carson Wentz, at the link versus Eagle. I think that's such a fascinating matchup.
That's
You
gonna be
know.
a fun game. I can't wait. Like I can't wait to hear the crowd. That's what I'm actually excited for. And not just in Philly. Like we're gonna take over Washington wherever they're playing. Even if
Oh
it's
yeah,
like a local, rec center. We're gonna take over Washington Stadium. It's gonna be crazy. So that's probably like
yeah,
the craziest game for me. I think that's gonna be the most fun to watch.
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not afraid of any of these guys. I don't know. They
I
all
can't
have their
wait.
chance. Go ahead.
I can't wait to see Washington, play the Eagles, and you keep seeing the shots of Howie Roseman sitting there with his binoculars on, because you heard of the whole incident in the locker room, right, with
Yeah.
Carson and him that came out. Oh man, that's great. I'm gonna have an HBO series about that whole thing. I'm working on it. I am
There
working
has
on
to
it.
be when before Howie Roseman. I mean, like, look, it's tough. I'm gonna be honest. I came into the game. One of my first merchandise things that I did was like a Fire Howie merch, right? And I still stand behind that. At the time, I felt like he should have been fired. Right now, I probably feel a lot differently, right?
Mhm.
But the things that we've heard, it's either we have like some of the weirdest media members that just say anything, or
Right.
Howie Roseman has legitimately gotten away with it, like everything, like it's and I tend to believe the latter. I really do. I don't know why, but I tend to believe I really do believe Howie Roseman is just socially awkward. That's probably the
Right.
nicest way of saying it, because it just doesn't make sense that he gets into all this. Where there's smoke, there's
That's
fire.
crazy.
It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
insane. It's just, and then you hear this Deshaun Watson. Just speaking of smoke and fire, and whew,
Oh gosh.
I don't want to get demonetized, so I don't want to get too graphic, but that's just ridiculous.
Oh
66
yeah.
what in like 17 months? Like
Oh my god, yeah. What's crazy is if you're Cleveland and you traded for him, gave him all that money, and they're talking about a year suspension. Is that what they're
yeah,
saying he could face? So this is gonna be a guy that didn't play football for a whole nother year. So you're gonna get him back after not playing football for 2 years, and you paid him that kind of money. I hope that Cleveland has some sort of out, because and then now think about it. Let's say he's suspended, and then you have Baker Mayfield that don't want to play for them. So it's Cleveland. Watch out, because they may be big sellers at the trade deadline.
that's probably the best part of it, is like the whole Baker Mayfield situation. Like I'm not a big fan of Baker Mayfield. Like I really don't
Yeah,
care. Never cared about him in college. Really
yeah,
don't care about him in the NFL. But he's cool. He's a good player, whatever. But it was hilarious now that he's like the power shift, right? Like he was the guy kind of being like, I kind of want out, I kind of want out, and they were like,
Yep.
yo, no, we own all the power. Now he's in a situation that he's kind of like, hey, you need me, huh? It sucks to
That's
need
right.
somebody, don't it? It sucks to need somebody. Like, but good for him.
Exactly.
Good for him. I like that. That's the power shift is kind of what sports needed, to be honest with you, because
Right. Right.
these
Right.
owners get away with everything. These
Oh.
owners get away with so much. But I do want to ask you something about a former player. Somebody said D-Jax in the comments, and it made me remember this. I
Oh.
don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw his interview where he was
I did.
basically
Yeah.
saying, yeah, so obviously for those who haven't seen it in the chat, D-Jax was basically saying that every time he played the Philadelphia Eagles after he was released by us, that he just wanted to eat. He just wanted to, tear us another one. He felt like he owed it to us, and he did. It's F Chip Kelly for life. Like we hate Chip Kelly for life. But what were your thoughts? Because that hit me in the gut. That hit me. If they're watching, because they retweeted my tweet when I said this, but that hurt my feelings. Like that hurt my feelings. It wasn't our fault. But what were you thinking when you saw it?
I thinking, man, I'm not surprised. I've heard some of the same things he said. We've heard before.
Yeah.
So it didn't surprise me. Um, you know, like, but I mean, I McNabb is McNabb. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
He always goes by the beat of his own drum. I was a gigantic McNabb supporter, right? Like McNabb could do no wrong. He could do no wrong. He could do no wrong. But I got to tell you, like what happened with him and To and everything we've heard from other players. Uh, I mean, I do think he had a jealousy streak. I definitely do, and I could see it playing the same with Deshaun Jackson, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, where there's smoke, there's fire, right? We keep on saying that about a lot of these situations. Donovan McNabb doesn't seem like that guy that wanted to share the buckets, right? He
but
wasn't trying to get no assists, so to speak. He wasn't trying to make anybody look good but himself. And I don't mean that
say
in
what
like
you.
a derogatory. Like I don't want to sit here and sound like I'm like, killing his
No, no,
character.
no,
I'm just
no.
talking about him as a football player. Just
Yeah,
he
no.
didn't work with those big personalities.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think McNabb overall is a decent guy, but I remember like watching stuff. They had like it was like WIP had like they had Ike Reese, Trotter, Hugh Douglas, and I want to say maybe it was Westbrook, somebody else, and they were having like this round table, and they were talking about what happened, and they all pretty much basically said what Tio said. You could say what you want about Terrell Owens. I don't think he lies, dude. I
Yeah.
don't think he's a liar. I just think he speaks his mind. He says what he wants. I think there was jealousy, and then as far as Deshaun goes, I mean, listen, I guess McNabb has the right to say, hey, I don't think he should be in a Pro Bowler for two sports. I guess he has the right to say it, but I think McNabb did have a problem with some of the personality, you know,
Yeah, and I think maybe him and Howie Roseman kind of shared a little bit of that social awkwardness. Maybe you guys just don't
right,
know when to not say something, right? Like
right,
it's not always saying the right thing. Sometimes it's just knowing not what when not to say something.
yeah.
But yeah,
And
it's
I'm not a
crazy.
McNabb hater. I
Yeah,
love what McNabb. I'm not a McNabb hater at all.
and that's the thing.
My only
Sometimes they get it twisted. Yeah.
issue ever with McNabb was when he said that he didn't know there were ties in football after we tied Cincinnati.
Oh my
That was
god.
the only thing that pissed me off. You know,
Yeah, that was
but
kind
other
of
than
ridiculous.
that,
I'm not gonna lie. At that point, I didn't really know that either. I was probably like 16 or something like that. I
right,
didn't know that either. I was like, wait, what? But you're paid to know that, right? Like, yeah,
right. You're the starting quarterback.
if I work at the gas station and I don't know how to, get you a pump going, then I probably shouldn't
No.
work there, right? So, like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
his job to know that because that was
yeah.
ridiculous. I mean,
It's
I don't
it's
know, man.
like
That's
some
that's
lady asking you, should you put diesel in your car that doesn't take diesel? You got to know that. You know what I mean?
exactly. Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, we had Hollis Thomas on here. Oh, I shouldn't say we. Brandon had Hollis Thomas on here, and he
Oh,
talked
cool.
about, yeah, he talked about the whole like locker room when they McNabb and the To thing was going on, and he flat out said he felt like they were just a bunch of B words. He just said both of them. They were both female
Yeah,
dogs. He was like they both acted like a bunch of bitches.
I think
and I
he's probably right.
Yeah, and he was upset, and it rightfully so. And I'm sure he's not the only guy in that locker room. When you have a
Yeah,
team that can, that's built like that team was, it's hard not to get upset when two people can't get it
yeah,
together and bring you to
yeah,
where you were, or at least thought. I don't want to say promised. You at least
yeah,
thought you should be, that being the Super
yeah,
Bowl winner. So,
yeah,
I could see a lot of people upset.
and McNabb on McNabb's, on his behalf, really, Owens was mad at him because he didn't speak up about Owens getting an extension. Well, he doesn't really have to if he doesn't want to. You know what I'm saying? So Owens was mad at him for that. Although the Eagles should have extended Owens. Or you redid his contract after that performance in the Super Bowl. I thought that they made a mistake, man, not keeping him happy.
And that was on one leg. That was the craziest part. That he was
One leg.
literally on one leg, like that.
Yeah.
And I don't think I think it was 8 weeks that he came back after a totally broken femur. Like,
Yeah.
come
Yeah,
on.
man.
Like, how
Total
do you?
stud, dude.
Yeah, I
He
don't
was
care
the
that you're
best
working out.
player. He
Yeah,
should have won the MVP in a loss. He
yeah.
should have won the MVP.
Facts. He almost broke a record. I think he was like two catches away from breaking a
Yeah.
record. Like
Yep.
it's
Exactly.
ridiculous. He literally carried us in that game. Like
Yeah.
he was our offense. That's like
Yeah.
he was literally. I don't know. And that
Yeah.
was Donovan McNabb's best year.
Yeah. And the Eagles front office, they should have figured a way to make this guy happy. I mean,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
And I feel like that was the beginning of the end of Andy Reid. I really do. I
Yeah.
feel like that was
It
kind of
was.
the beginning of the end for Andy Reid. Like I think he got fired like 3 years after that, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, that was
I could
'05.
be
No, he
wrong.
got fired like 5 years. He
Five,
had a
five. Okay.
resurgence. He had a resurgence in what, like, what was it, like 2000? I want to say 2008, 2009. They go to the NFC Championship game versus Cardinals, Deshaun Jackson's rookie year, and he kind of had a resurgence at that point. So yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I still remember how we used to treat Andy Reid. That was so unfortunate. But anyways, I want to I want to get back to present day a little bit. I want to talk about some guys that people aren't going to really be talking about a lot this offseason. And well, not positively, right? Uh, I want to talk about two guys individually. I want to talk about
Okay.
Sean Bradley because you talked about how deep we are at this linebacking position. I
Mhm.
think he's going to be somebody that kind of gets lost in the shuffle. He's a kind of
Yeah.
ingrained as a special teamer, so I don't feel like he'll be off this team. I think they'll figure something out for him. But I want to talk about Sean Bradley and I want to talk about Davion Taylor because I think he's another guy that while he was a starter for most of last year, he was hurt for most of last year as well. So people might not understand. What are you thinking right now? We do have a linebacking room that has a bunch of youth, a bunch of talent. If we go out there with three down linebackers, right? What is what would how would Philly 500 throw, his linebacking depth chart together?
Right. Well, you know, I'm gonna say what I really hope because um, I think N'Kobe Dean, like, I want him to be plug and play. Like, I
Yeah.
want him to play right away. Because that would be such a steal. In my perfect world, I would say Hassan Reddick, Dean, and then White. I would say those would be your three starters if you're gonna have three linebackers. But TJ Edwards, I mean, he could legitimately start. It would not surprise me at all. And then you have Bradley, like you said, I think he's a special teams guy. And Davion Taylor has shown flashes, right, of being decent. It would be nice that if he had a really good year and then could take over for like Kaiser White, because he's only signed a 1 year deal. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that he can stay healthy. That's going to be the question. But he has talent, and I think Sean Bradley. I think Sean Bradley's a decent depth linebacker, man, with some upside. So you got to find a way to keep him.
Yeah, I think we have a lot. That front seven is going to be very interesting. While I do think that we have a lot of talent on there, we have a lot of
Mhm.
guys we don't know about yet, right? Like, and it's going to be interesting to see how they utilize them. Now, obviously, the guy that's going to have to utilize them correctly is Jonathan Gannon, right? And Jonathan
Yeah.
Gannon is not. He's an interesting guy. He's a polarizing figure. I think that's a fair way of putting it. What are you waiting for from Jonathan Gannon? I guess is the only way I could like. I mean, we can say what is your expectation? What do you want to see change? But like, what is that one thing that you, when you see him do this, you're gonna be like, that's what I'm talking about.
Pain. That's what I'm waiting for. Pain.
I
And
love it.
when I see him bring pressure at a quarterback with linebackers, whatever you need to do, then I'll say, there we go. Right? I have like I have post traumatic stress from last year. I think of Derek Carr, like what, 80 something percent, Mahomes, Brady, all these quarterbacks were throwing like over 80% completion percentages against us. And you could see it happening, right? Where a guy's like 15 to 17 in the first half. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking and I'm screaming and I'm losing my mind going, why not do something? Like you got to try to do something to break this guy, break his rhythm. And he wouldn't do anything. Now, the excuse in the all season's been, well, he didn't have the personnel to do it. Well, I think he's all out of excuses. We talk about Hurts being out of excuses. I think he's out of excuses. And I have to see a guy that has a much more aggressive defense. They've got to be more aggressive, you know?
Yeah, I want to see guys heads rolling off. That's what I want. I just want to see heads rolling off.
Exactly.
I want to see quarterbacks just afraid to even step back. You know what I'm saying? I
Yep.
want to see teams running the ball when they're down 20. Like that,
Yeah.
that I want them to just say, "Never mind. We'll go on the
Yeah.
next week."
Oh,
And
I
we
agree.
have the team to do that. We have the speed, we have the athleticism, we have the size. You look at Jordan Davis and everything. So for me, Jonathan Gannon, adjust. That's all I need to see. If we go into a game, you're having a bad first quarter or a bad first half, come out the second half and adjust. Make some
Right.
adjustments. For all the hate that I gave, not hate, but all the criticism I gave Jim Schwartz, all the times we would, complain about his third and sticks and fourth and
Hmm.
sticks defense, he would adjust. He would adjust. He wouldn't adjust his third and sticks defense. But if you go into a game and you're having a bad first half, he came out with a different type of defense. You did not
Yeah.
see that one
Yeah.
time from Jonathan Gannon. I
Yeah.
don't care if you don't have the right personnel. Figure something out with your personnel.
Yeah.
We were just going out there, just basically playing base defense every game,
Yeah.
whether it worked or not. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
that's my biggest thing for him, and that comes with it. Don't get me wrong. I want to see pain. I want to see these guys getting beat up because that's the old Eagles, right? That's the Philadelphia
Yeah.
Eagles that I'm sure me and
Yeah.
you both grew up on.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to see.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, one of the things that like, and I used to say this in my streams all last year, is like, look at these quarterbacks that we were playing, right? Look how they had no grass stains, no dirt on their jerseys. They were clean. They were clean. And he
Hmm.
was content to basically play that bend and don't break. And he would literally play and try to not give up touchdowns. And he was okay with whatever happened in between. I think that in today's NFL, I don't think it works because we talked about it earlier. You have to be able, the offenses have such an advantage over the defenses. The real true equalizer is to get to the quarterback, and you have to get to the quarterback. And not only that, but he plays off. Like you see how far those quarters would play back sometimes. It
Yeah.
was absolutely ridiculous. And quarterbacks could get the ball, get rid of the ball in 2 seconds, and they got a guy 4 or 5 yards, you know, open for a pass, and then they catch the ball and get another 4, 5, 6 yards before we even touch them. So I'm just hoping for a lot more aggressive defense.
Yeah, I will say the one thing that scares me, we did that round table on Mike's channel and everything, talking about like, what we thought the offense or the defense would be worse
Right.
or better, excuse me. And I was probably I think the only one that said defense would be worse than the offense because I was still afraid, and I still am afraid of Jonathan Gannon. Because you
Yeah.
think about last year, one thing I also said was that I felt like the only way that the system that we were running as a defense would work is if you had a very good linebacking crew, right? And I felt like maybe they feel like they do now. Maybe they feel like we got
Right.
the linebacking crew to do this, and we're just gonna run it back and hope that we get different results. And if that's the case, the Eagles are kind of we're screwed either way. We kind of really are when it comes to the defensive coordinator, because either way, he's either going to be really good and we're not going to have him next year because people are going to want
Right.
him as a
Right.
head coach, or
That's
he's going to
true.
be really bad, and we're not going to want him anymore because he was really bad. So it's like I want him to be good, obviously, but it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be really weird.
I
I,
I'm still trying to figure out how he got off. He was such a hot candidate this past year. Like, what did he do?
yeah, I have
How
no
did
idea.
I just don't get it. Like,
I don't know.
I don't get it. But he did scare me too when he was speaking a few weeks ago at a press conference, and he was like basically like, "Oh, the defense is going to look very similar. We're going to do a lot of same things." I'm going, "Oh my God, no, no!" But I hope he's just saying that. You know what I mean? Because he doesn't want to give anything away. That's what I'm hoping.
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely not giving anything away with these OTAs. I mean, I the last one I remember, I think they went 55 minutes. I think that was the
I
actual logged time.
I don't like that. I gotta
I
tell
know,
you, I don't
especially when
six
it's not
OTs.
especially when it's light contact. You know what I'm saying? Like I could
Yeah,
get if you're out there, bumping and bruising for an hour,
right.
but you're in a helmet and shoulder pads. It's not like you're really trying to take people down to the ground. We had
Yeah,
Kyle Yeoman. Like, I do the show every Sunday with James, right? It's like Eagles versus Cowboys
right.
perspective, and we had
Hmm.
Kyle Yeomans, who's the TV reporter for the Cowboys. And I asked him straight up. I was like, try and make me feel better about our OTAs. Are we the only ones going this soft? And he was like, I'm not gonna lie to you, like we still getting people, bumped on their backside, and they're really going hard at these OTAs. You're talking 2-hour practices, and I feel like we're missing something. We're so young, and the
Yeah,
Cowboys, who are an older team, more experienced, they're not really asking as much as we are out of young players. They're out there, busting tail and going hard. And I just feel like the Eagles are missing out on something. So it does
I
worry
agree.
me.
It does me too, especially if you look at the way they handled preseason last year. I mean, we really didn't see anybody. I think
Yeah,
Kurtz played one series, and it was all for preseason. And you got so many young guys that need to play, need reps. See, I mean, I'm old fashioned. Like, I think it's interesting that in today's NFL, where you don't hit as much, you don't have 2 days, you don't have all these things. It seems like guys get hurt a lot more. It's
yeah,
like almost like because their bodies aren't used to getting hit until like week 1, week 2. I think you almost get more injuries in a lot of ways. So I'm not a big fan of it. And 6 OTAs, no mini camps. Yeah, I mean, if we start slow, like week 1 or week 2, you know, depending upon how much they play in preseason, we'll know why.
yeah. And we just all right. So I feel like we beat up on Gannon enough. Let's move on over to the offensive side of the ball, and maybe
He's
be
my
the
number
first
one
thing.
concern. He's my number one
Jonathan Gannon
concern
has
going
to
into
be.
season.
Gannon, you're talking
Hmm.
about? Yeah, he
Yeah,
has to
again,
be. I think it's fair.
yeah,
He has
yeah.
to be because we've seen at least growth from every single other position and every single
Yep.
other coach outside of Tracy Rocker, who I personally just don't like. I don't know. Maybe no offense to Tracy Rocker. I don't know the man. Like, I
Mhm.
just feel like our defensive line sucked out of nowhere. So I have to blame someone, and he's going to be the guy right
Right,
now. So,
right.
but either way. So him and Tracy Rocker, and Jonathan Gannon are my biggest concerns going into 2022. I think that that's fair. I think that that's warranted, and I think
Mhm.
that that's you. I don't think we're alone in that thought. There's 120 people in the chat. Be sure to hit the like, hit the subscribe if you're new to the channel, and let me know if you guys agree too, because I'm sure we're not the only ones that are afraid of Jonathan Gannon or afraid of what
No.
Jonathan Gannon will do coming up. But I want to talk about Shane Steichen, because Shane Steichen
Okay.
obviously taking over play calling. He did last year, is what the word
Right.
is around town. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Right.
are you? My real question is, that's all cool, and I'm sure you've done videos about it. My question realistically is, I've heard people say that they felt like Nick Sirianni's doing it because he felt overwhelmed. I feel like we got Nick Sirianni here because he's an offensive guy. Am I wrong? Am I wilding out? Am I bugging out to be a little bit concerned that our offensive minded coach doesn't want to call the plays? Is that maybe I'm stretching that a bit?
I don't know. I kind of looked at it, and I didn't even think about it like that. I mean, now you're gonna have
Me
me bugging out, but
no,
now I'm
real
gonna be
talk. Me
bugging out.
either. I didn't think of it like that either until someone said it to me, and I'm like, well,
Yeah, because my thought was we had Chip Dip Kelly, we had Doug, we had all these guys who were like always like, I'm calling the plays. I'm calling the plays no matter what. And it seemed like they would allow, basically put like a square peg in a round hole. And watching him give up the play calling last year almost completely changed the offense so it would fit the team around him. I thought it was a big deal. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I look at it like here's a coach that is willing to do what it takes to win, and even if that is giving up the play calling. So to me, that's how I looked at it. I still think he has the ability to, but I think once they went to a run heavy offense, um, I think Steichen was better suited for it. That's how I look at it.
I could see that, and I that's why I even feel um warranted in saying that I do still believe we're going to be a run heavy team. I think that if you can, and we said this early on in the show, right? If you can find a way that Jalen Hurts fits this puzzle and that it's all
Hmm.
complete, even if you got to turn it sideways and maybe, wet
Right.
the edge a little bit just so it crams it, maybe you got to fit it in some type of way. But I feel like if you find that way, why go away from it? Because some of the stuff that we've said, maybe he comes at a hometown town discount. Maybe he
Yeah.
looks out a little bit because we looked out a little bit and try to mold him into a quarterback when everybody was saying that he wasn't. So maybe we get lucky. We kind of did that with Michael Vick, if we're being 100% honest. I know it was a different coaching staff, right? They kind of just taught Michael Vick how to be more of a quarterback when he came back to the league. So maybe that's their mindset. Maybe they just say, let's try and figure
Man,
something out
my
with him
sound
and
just
just
went
keep
out.
running the ball. Did you lose me?
Yeah, my sound just went out.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I lost your sound. Hold on.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Uh, we lost sound. Maybe
I don't
go
know
out,
what's
come back
going on.
in.
Hold on. Let me do this. Hold on. Let me get my headphones. Hold on.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, like
Hold
I
on.
was saying, I mean, maybe the Philadelphia Eagles look at this as an opportunity to have somebody's back, right? Like you look at Jalen Hurts and you look at how the Philadelphia Eagles have kind of taken his back since day one. We look back and we look back at a lot of the things that they've said. You look at the things that Howie Roseman has said, and maybe he really does mean it. Maybe he's being genuine. I know a lot of times we don't feel like he is, but maybe he is. Maybe he is. Can you hear me now? Can we hit? Do we got 500 back? You got to love live shows. You have to love live shows. Anything. Let's see if we got 500. Let's see if we got 500. Mon says, I respect them for not calling plays. Sometimes it's best to give responsibilities to other. Yes. No, I agree. I agree 100%. But when somebody brought it up like that, I got a little bit nervous. Not going to lie. I got a little bit nervous.
Oh, two.
You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, you came in so smooth. I was like, he said you put it over your AirPods, but no, yeah, he came in so smooth. I didn't even realize he was back.
I,
But no, yeah, I mean, maybe this team wants to build around Jalen Hurts. Maybe they're cool with being a pass first offense. Who knows? I hope so. And people are saying that it's good for him to give up a little bit of responsibility, and it could be. But I play devil advocate, and maybe I shouldn't be scared, but I'm always scared about.
I yeah, I definitely worry.
Yeah, and you look at this offense. I mean, we said that we think that it's probably gonna, lean more towards the run side. But do you see maybe AJ Brown being used more like a Debo Samuels this year, like maybe being a guy that kind of just does everything, runs the ball, gets those little
Mhm.
end arounds and such?
Yeah. No, I agree. I think um I think they're definitely going to pass more. No doubt about it.
Definitely, yeah. Can you hear me? Am I late?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right.
I definitely hear you. I just got to echo
On my end or yours?
me.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry.
No, it's not your fault.
But anyway, so all right, last question, and then we will get out of here. We're coming up on the hour. We're coming up on the hour mark anyway. So, but I do want to ask you, where is the bar for you right now? Who do the Philadelphia Eagles have to be for you to be satisfied with this year?
I think the Eagles have to win the division, get their home playoff game, and win it. To me, if they can do that, we've taken a great next step.
Yeah, hell yeah. And then you still got Jalen Hurts, and you're hoping that he's the guy that kind of walked you there. And then you got 2 first-round picks, got a bunch of thirds, you got a bunch of picks after that. So it's gonna be probably another fun offseason next year. Who do you think off the top of your head is gonna be, if you had to say right now, who's gonna lead this team in on offense and defense? Like, it doesn't have to be in stats, but who do you think is gonna be the guy that kind of propels both units?
Mm. Defensively, I'm gonna say Hassan Red, and offensively, Devontae Smith.
I like that. I'm gonna say on offense, I'm gonna say Quez Watkins. Now
Oh
I
yeah,
don't think he'll be the best out of the three. Like, I don't think he'll have the highest numbers, but I think that his plays are gonna be such splash plays. Like, he's gonna be the guy that people didn't realize they had to, you know what I'm saying, actually game plan for as well. I said this earlier, like, you're gonna see a lot of him in that slot one-on-one with no safety help. That's not smart. So I think that he's gonna be a sneaky guy on that. And I think he has that swagger of, like, I feel like he's gonna be
oh,
bopping and everything, getting the team going. So I'm gonna go Quez Watkins and go with like a dark horse. Defensively, that's a tough one. Defensively, it's probably either Slay or I'm going Slay or Brandon Graham. I think Brandon Graham gonna
and
be come back and be a leader again. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's gonna take that role right back and just kind of get his boys just rocking and going. Like, because I feel like we really missed that. We really missed somebody to
oh
just get us out of our, off of the bench and just hype and going back to war. Because when he said that we were gonna make the playoffs when we didn't really think it was a possibility, the Eagles really answered that call. So he's an important piece to this puzzle. I really truly
yeah,
believe that.
oh
So
I think losing Brandon was huge.
yeah,
Yeah,
that was probably like that was just hurt. It hurt too because it was
yeah,
probably his last year. Maybe it gave us an extra year with him, but like so we'll see what happens with him now. Like, he's going, I think he's gonna be like 34 or 35, something like. He's pretty old now.
yeah.
But shout out to him, man.
I
I
love
wish I
him.
was playing football at 35. I'm
Yeah,
31. I wish I was playing the football right now. Shoot,
I know, right? If he
give me
could give
2
us
years.
8 or 9 sacks, we're good.
Yeah, I think that would be beautiful. I think that would be beautiful. If I don't even know if he's going to be asked to start realistically. Like, I would probably start Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick. Like, if I'm
Mm.
putting guys on the outside on the edge, I'm probably going Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick, and then just letting these guys get their reps. I
Keep him
think that would
fresh.
be interesting.
You know,
Yeah, exactly. Keep them fresh, especially
I
in
like
this
it.
old age. I wouldn't even be surprised if no, Fletcher Cox ain't coming off the bench. I was about to say maybe
No,
Fletch. Yeah, Fletcher ain't coming off the bench. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see how they sprinkle everybody in. I'm excited.
I have a question for you.
Yeah,
What do you expect from Jordan Davis year one?
like stat wise, like number wise,
Just
or
just play
performance.
wise,
Yeah.
performance wise. What do we
Um,
need from him?
I think he's gonna be around that like 300, maybe 400 snap count. I think that he'll be a guy that is dominant in the run game. I think that he'll stop the run game very, very well. Maybe even top 10
Mm.
already in the league. I really true and stopping the run. I truly believe that. Um, I don't know what he's gonna do as a pass rusher, and that's where he goes from being the best defensive interior lineman, or is he going to be another great run stuffer? Because I really do believe that's his floor, is him just being a run stuffer.
Yeah.
So I think that if for the first couple games you start seeing him go out there and getting to the quarterback with like a different array of pass rush moves, and he's shown that he really shown something or learned something and improved this year as a pass rusher, sky's the limit realistically,
Yeah,
and not just for his future, but this year. Like he's fast, strong, knows the game. He's smart. You know what I'm saying? He understands how to utilize his whole body to fill up gaps and everything. So I feel like he has everything. If he can be a pass rusher, I expect the world from him. And I don't mean
yeah,
that facetiously, but like right now, I truly just believe he's gonna be an elite, mid to elite run stopper as at that defensive interior position.
mhm,
And I think that's what you can expect.
yeah,
Anything above that, I think is going to be beautiful. Like, even if he
yeah,
is, that's all he is. Even if he's just one of the best, run stoppers in the league, there's value in that. There's a lot of value in that.
yeah. Especially if he's taking on double teams, and he's freeing
Exactly.
everybody else up.
Yeah, he makes people like N'Kobe Dean more valuable. He makes people like
Absolutely.
TJ Edwards more valuable. Guys that can't necessarily fight through the muck, but they can read through it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like the thing with N'Kobe Dean that kind of, I'm gonna be honest, he was like he was number 2 on my list of linebackers. He was like 2, 3 going into the draft, and I liked Devin Lloyd ahead of him, and I liked Channington. I didn't like him ahead of him, but I liked Quay Walker ahead of him. I liked
Mhm.
couple people a little bit ahead of him. But the main reason why is because he played with such an amazing defensive line. So you
Right.
never saw N'Kobe Dean really have to fight through blocks. And that was what really scared me, is coming to a NFL level where you're going to have to at some point fight through blocks. And us as the Philadelphia Eagles, we let our defensive tackles go upfield. So you're not really protecting these linebackers. And that's what TJ Edwards even had issues with. So, I got nervous about that. But when you bring a Jordan Davis on, you have a Marlon Tialapatu who makes a lot more sense now in hindsight. So, there's a lot to be excited about what this team can be. So sky's the limit for Jordan Davis.
Yeah.
I truly do believe that.
Yeah, I agree. I think if he becomes a good pass rusher, he's a he's a game changer on defense. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gonna be. I really do believe he has the potential to be an All Pro player in his first year. I do believe he can make that big of an impact on that defensive line,
Yeah.
especially if he can learn how to be a pass rusher. You know what I'm saying? That's the
Yeah.
biggest thing. He's not a pass rusher yet.
Right.
He just. I'm not saying he's not. I'm saying he hasn't done it yet. He hasn't put up those big numbers. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so
Well, we know he has the physical tools to do it. The guy's
exactly.
an athlete, so he has the tools to do it. He's just got to develop.
Yeah. And I know I said last question, but I do want to read this because he says expect more from Barnett. His contract coming up next year. Barnett's contract, he just got re-signed. But I do want to ask you about Derek Barnett. Is there anything, because he's going to be in this rotation now? Is there anything that Mr. Barnett can do to maybe get off of Philly 500's naughty list? Like, is there anything he can do to get back into the good graces of the Philadelphia Eagles fans?
9 or more sacks. 9 or more sacks. Because he's a first round pick, right? So I have to hold him to the standard of a first round pick still. And he needs 9.
Yeah, I respect that. 100% respect that. I mean, I don't know. I probably wouldn't even been able to come up with that answer if I'm being honest with you. I'll add this caveat. I think that nine more or more sacks is great, and you have to have less than 2 personal fouls. I'll give you 2 over
Right,
17
yeah.
games. I'll
Yeah.
give you 2 over 17 games.
Yeah.
That's all I can give you.
Yeah.
If he has more than 2 personal fouls, the second that he gets his third personal foul, I think that it should be a clause in his contract that he's automatically traded. We don't
Right.
even know who gets him. It's like a raffle. They just
Yeah.
take him. We don't even care anymore.
Well, the thing is, like, he was a first round pick that's in his second contract right now. He should be in his prime years getting 10, 12, 13 sacks a year.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's unfortunate how his. I mean, we were fed all that, like who was it? Was it Reggie White that they were comparing him to?
Yeah.
That he broke Reggie White's, like
I didn't
don't.
buy it. I didn't
Yeah,
fly.
it's like how you gonna say? And then they did with the Milton Williams. Oh, his measurables, his comparable is
Right.
AD. So AD
Yeah.
Junior, we got AD Junior in here. Like,
Right.
bro, don't play with my emotions like that. We got lives to live. It's a recession
Right.
out here. Like, don't play with
Yeah.
my emotions. You know?
I know. Gas $7 here.
Yeah, like, bro, come on, it's ridiculous. Yeah, and you live in Cali, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's God bless,
$7 here.
man. I'm gonna have to go send you a super chat, man. Just to get a gas. Get out
Let
of the
me tell
gas.
you, you can't even put more than $100 in a tank. It shuts off. They're limiting the
Really?
amount of gas you can buy. Yep.
Wow, I didn't know that. It's fun. I was telling my girl, like, I don't know if we're saving up for a house or if we're saving up for a tank of gas. Like, it's ridiculous out here. I live in Florida, and everything, like, I'll say this: a lot of people come to Florida like to, escape the prices and everything. I read an article not too long ago that said Florida is now becoming one of the most expensive places to live.
Yeah.
So that shift is crazy.
Yep.
And it's ridiculous because I got caught in the middle of it. So maybe I'm gonna be coming back up north. I don't know. Who knows? But 500, man. You like my brother, man. I really do appreciate you coming on here, man. It's always a pleasure, always an honor. I appreciate you letting me do that intro because I love listening to it every day.
It's the greatest intro ever. Come on now.
I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna get out of here, man. I appreciate everybody in the chat. We still got 108 people. Be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe. If you don't know who Philly 500 is, go to your nearest Netflix, pop on Training Day. One of his best works, Equalizer, was really good. He's done some things, man. But he also has an amazing YouTube channel, Philly 500. My man, he's the myth, the legend. But yeah, you got anything you want to say before we get out of here, brother?
No, I just want to thank you for having me on, man. Appreciate it. Can't wait to have you back on our channel. And let's get this season started. I'm ready.
Facts. Yeah, that's the best thing to say to end it off because I am ready for this year. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to prove some people wrong, and they're all wearing a star when they root for teams. So yeah, it's all Cowboys fans, basically. What I'm saying. But other than that, y'all know what it is, man. It's Fly Eagles Fly, and we are out here. Peace.
Everywhere, this is for
Yeah.
you.
Fly Eagles flying on the team. Touchdown. Time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a bird gang nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here calling on Philly the